And joining me now is Democrat who serves on that committee and is chair for the subcommittee on primary health and retirement security, Massachusetts Senator Ed Markey. Senator, hard to know where to start, but let's talk with Donald Trump on autism, on vaccines. Here's part of what he had to say.
Something bad's happening. Again, you take a look at autism today versus 20, 25 years ago, it's like not even believable. So we're going to have reports. No, nothing's going to happen very quickly. I think you're going to find that Bobby he's a very rational guy. I found him to be very rational. No, nothing, you're not going to lose the polio vaccine. That's not going to happen. But we're going to look into finding why is the autism rate so much higher than it was 20, 25, 30 years ago. I mean, it's 100 times higher. There's something wrong, and we're going to try finding that.
Senator Markey, I mean, part of the reason why there's more autism being diagnosed, there may be other factors, but there's also more diagnoses. There's more medical information. But give us your thoughts.
There is no scientific evidence linking autism to vaccines. None. And so when this misinformation continues to be spread, it is a disservice because it puts a cloud over families' decisions to have their children vaccinated against deadly diseases. It is absolutely irresponsible. In the same way that Robert Kennedy said that COVID-19 was the most dangerous vaccine ever issued. When he raises questions about the polio vaccine, when he raises questions about the measles vaccine, when he raises questions about all of these public health initiatives, which have transformed our country and the rest of the world. In 1900, the average age of death was 48 years of age, and we've added 30 years over the last century, and it's largely because of public health interventions like vaccines and other public health strategies, which have transformed not only our country but the whole world. And what Robert F. Kennedy and what Donald Trump is doing is casting a shadow over all of that progress without any evidence to back it up whatsoever.
And people of a certain age who, lived during the FDR and World War II years before the Salk vaccine, like Senator McConnell, know very well the tragedy of polio and the fear of polio. I know it in my own family. Prominent journalists like Ben Bradley, The Washington Post. There were many people of that era who had childhood polio. And it was devastating. Children were taken from their parents and quarantined, in some cases for years.
It is outrageous that questions are being raised about the polio vaccine. It is safe. People should have confidence in it. We don't want hundreds of thousands of people a year infected with the polio germs, with what can cause them great harm. And again, we don't want people around the world to think that the United States is questioning the safety of polio vaccinations, because it would make it, unfortunately, inexorably inevitable that we would see a recurrence of polio somewhere in the world. We have to be the global health leaders on public health initiatives. Mitch McConnell is a good example of someone who suffered from it. But again, our goal should be that children have to look to the history books to find that there ever was such a scourge as polio or the measles or any of these other diseases which are now openly being questioned in terms of the vaccines which help to prevent them.
And it was always taken as an article of faith that before your child goes to public kindergarten, or I'm sure in private schools as well, that they would be the rubella and the other childhood vaccinations. It was never controversial until this whole autism issue was raised. But what do you think is going to be the hearing for RFK Jr.? Will Democrats get Republican support? Will Mitch McConnell be a key factor here?
It's very clear that Robert Kennedy is unqualified, unserious, and dangerous in terms of his views on public health in our country. My hope is that Republican senators will come away with that same conclusion as they look at his record, as they look at who he most closely associates with, including his own lawyer, who is asking for a withdrawal of the polio vaccine from the marketplace. These are very dangerous things that go right to the health of every family in our country. And I hope that the Republican senators question closely, because there is no Democrat or Republican vaccination. It affects everyone, and if, in fact, any of these vaccines are withdrawn from the marketplace, it would be very dangerous. In fact, what Robert Kennedy said was that he was going to lay off 600 people at NIH and give infectious diseases an 8-year break. That's his own quote. That's just dangerous, and it is irresponsible, it's outrageous, and he is not qualified to be the Secretary of Health and Human Services. And my hope is that enough Republican senators will see with clarity the danger that he poses, so that he will be rejected for this very important post.